Good morning. Our hand today is pocket queens. This was a hand that I played last night. I had some questions on it, so I thought I'd review it here. So early position, I open raise. I have early position open raising range, something like this. So queens are in it. We get a call by villain 3. He's playing 17-10. Fairly tight. I'm going to give him some maybe suited broadways, pocket pairs. I don't think he's doing this with a bunch of junk. I believe that this player is just a little too tight to be doing that. Cutoff, VPIP is 30%, but when you look at call 2bet, it's at 27%. Only 3 out of 11. 3 out of 11, but his overall call 2bet's 12%. So I think we're looking at a better image here at 12%. Out of all the times he could call, he's going to be fairly tight. And that's 328 hands on him, so I don't consider him a super loose player. Definitely, he's going to have a weaker range, and I'm going to be ahead. We're going to look at his villain 4. I only have 29 hands on him. This is hand number 30, and he calls. I'm going to put villain 4's calling hand something like this, and this is probably cutoffs is close to this. Cutoff might not have the ace 10 off, king jack off, queen jack off, maybe not even ace jack off, offsuit. But it's going to be something like a calling range. You have hands that are speculative in nature. You have some pocket pair hands hoping hit trips, and I'm going to give him suited aces since he's on the button. So we see a board 9-8-2. Generally speaking, this is going to hit the caller's ranges, and I'm okay with that because I do have an overpair. I think 10 jack's going to be calling, and that's fine because I have 2 queens. I've blocked them. I think spades are going to be calling. I think 10-9's going to call. I bet like even 7-8's going to call. The one pair hands, because if you think about my open raising range, this isn't really going to hit ace king, ace queen, which king queen that most people think of having when they open raise in early position. So I bet half pot and then villain raises and doesn't min raise here. It's about 33% pot or something, not quite a third of the pot. And it's back to me. Should I be raising this? Should I just be calling? Note the stack sizes. So at this point, I have 73 big blinds here. I didn't top up on this table. Just kind of sitting and playing because it's a 25 NL game, and it's just kind of slowly transitioning up to this limit, so I don't want to keep topping off and then at the end of the night realize that I just burned through 2 buy-ins pretty quickly. So a little bit more conservative when I play at this table. So it's not huge. I don't have a deep stack, so I thought here I did check to see what would it be if I raised. So he made the bet to 10.4. If I raise it to pot, we're looking at raising it up to maybe 45 or so, out of a total of 67.8. I kind of feel like if I'm going to be raising pot, I should probably just be raising all in here, and see if he calls. If I raise all in, I think hands that are going to call will be 2 pair trips, I think are going to be calling, and then maybe 10 jack of spades, which will have a lot of equity against me. I'm not sure if just an open-ender is going to be calling here. So instead of, and I thought maybe raising a smaller amount here, but then I consider, well, if I just call, we're going to have a pot of 30. I can check on the turn on a low turn card. If he bets half pot, then I could reasonably raise and have him call with a wider range. So that's kind of my intention here, is to call here. Pot's 32. If he bets 15, I could easily raise it up to 62 and not be too suspicious. And I think that's a great card for me. So I checked. He checked behind, unfortunately. River was an 8. That wasn't the greatest. So now I do think I should have been betting here. I didn't. I check called. And it's one of these things. I think in the moment I checked because I thought, well, what hands are going to call me? I don't think 10 Jack's going to call. I don't think the missed flushes are going to call, but perhaps like 10 Jack goes for a bluff, or maybe pocket sevens goes for a bet. I think pocket sevens probably calls regardless. So I'm curious. Two spots on the flop. Should I have three bet, and then as played on the river, should I have gone ahead and led on this board? So let's take a look at it. So I've got the ranges in, and yep, looks like I'm c-betting here 84% of the time. It does, I think, change a little bit because we were three-way. I think you're going to be less bluffing, more straightforward in the hands that we do c-bet. But heads up, yeah, we're supposed to bet. So I did bet, and then Villain raised it here. Now, what kind of hands is he raising? He's raising trips, trips. He's raising some two pair. He does have some over pairs that he could raise some of these jacks. Small amount of tens. His flush draws. I'm gonna say. Let's say our flush draws are looking at like Jack 10 is a raise, which I think that makes sense. Queen Jack's a raise, so flush draw and gut shot. I mean, all Queen Jacks are raises. No, I'm sorry. No, these are the flush draws. Queen Jack 10 mostly a raise. Queen 10's mostly a raise. Ace 10 suited. Ace 10 spades is a raise as well. 7-6 is not, and I think because you're drawn to the bottom end of the straight. Ace 7's betting, so I do think, and that's I consider maybe he's raising with his flush draws. Flush draws miss. Once he checked behind on the turn, so I thought there's no way he's going to call with any of those, but maybe if I check, he bets. Some of the gut shots are going to be some of the gut shots are going to be betting, and then we've got our bluff. So he raises, and he does have me raising queens mostly. I do have the queen of spades. I got spades and diamonds, so I probably should have been raising here, and I programmed in the 3-bet. So that's here the equity. 48.05%. No, 56.6% equity is what I have. So EV of making this 29.3 is 56.6%. I think we'll go back and check the sizing. Could I have raised larger? But so it's about 3 times their bet size. So I would raise to about 30 or so. He raised it to 12. I could raise to about 30, maybe 20, 25 is what we should have been raising. Now some of our queens are checks, they are calls. So let's say I did call 4 clubs, and then I'm supposed to be checking most of the time. King, I'm gonna say surprising. King's a lead. And I think that's to probably balance out the 7-6 that we're going to be firing as a bluff, and trip fours. So trip fours, kings kind of balance out your 7-6s. So we do check, and then Villain's supposed to be checking, or is supposed to be betting 63.3% of the time. When he doesn't, I mean, he should be continuing with 3 of a kind, 2 pair, over pair. I think that's all true. Middle pair, weak pairs calling. He should be firing again with his flush draw, but he probably doesn't. We'll see what he does, and we can check out. We could adjust his checking range here. See how that changes. So he checked behind, and then we get 8 of hearts. I think that is 8 of hearts. and now it's on us, and we should. It looks like we should be leading a lot. We should be leading with all of our weak pairs, some of our over pairs, some of our aces were not. I think the aces. What did the aces do? So if we check and he bets, we're getting it in with those aces. So the aces are being used as a check raise. We're not using those for nines or eights or fours. Those are going to go for some value. I think some of our kings and queens that we check are going to be used for some value. Now here's what's kind of, I'm going to say a little surprising, is the queen of spades. If you have the queen of spades, you're more likely to check. I think that is probably true, because if we have the queen of spades, we block the hands like king, queen of spades, queen, jack of spades, ace, queen of spades, all those hands that would have been in his flush calling range. So we block all those, which makes it less likely that he's actually going to have the spade. So, you know, I was aware that I had the spade, and made it just a little less likely that he actually had it. So I did check. He bet about half pot. He's going to be betting, you know, some of his pairs, and now it's up to me. You know, I raise, I call, or I fold. Here in this case, the raise should be all in. You're saying all of the over pairs that should have been raising, weak pairs, ace highs. I mean, if villain's playing GTO, I should be just shoving here instead of calling with my queens. Don't have a whole lot, so let's see what he has, and then kind of go back and check. So he had queen 9. Did I have queen 9 in his range? I didn't. I cut it off at queen 10. So if he had queen 9, he probably also has king 9 and jack 9, and possibly those. So I think we're going to expand his range here. And all right, so we had default setting, so we lead out. HP leads out. We did 50% bet. He had 30%. I'm gonna knock that down just a little bit to 30% because that might be a little bit better. All right, so we'll build the tree, and then we'll run the solver, and we'll come back when it is done. All right, this took a little bit longer. So with the new range, we are still going to be c-betting here, c-betting queens. I like that. Villain raises us. He should be raising sets, definitely, and then not a whole lot more. And he raises to 11.4. That's a little bit closer to his raise size. And then we are looking like we should be raising queens again. We should be raising sets. We should be raising a lot of our overpairs. Got to be aggressive. And I thought about that. We don't ever want to go into bluff catching mode by losing out on being the aggressor. And I did that here. I just ended up calling. So I did call 4 clubs. Comes out. I like it. We are supposed to check. Once we made that call, our play is to check, and then villain checks behind. And I think this is where we're going to have to modify it. So checks behind, and then, yeah, versus GTO play, we should be betting here. I didn't. I mean, even our queens here, he's got a slightly wider range. We could check with that, but if it's now that he has more of these 9s in his hands that he could have been doing this with, I think if we bet, he could call with those easily. So he checks, or I check, he bets, and then we would be raising with that queen if we check behind, and so forth. So let's go back here to his check and say and adjust this, because I'm not sure if he's playing all GTO. So his top pair hands was supposed to be betting. Oh, we're gonna have to adjust all. We're gonna have to go back and adjust this. So he raised. His top pairs were supposed to be calls. So we're gonna change this to. I think we're gonna change the sets to a raise, 2 pairs to a raise, and then his top pair. I think we are going to. We're going to say ace 9, king 9, queen 9, and we'll do jack 9 and 10 9. It's calling for a raise. I think 9 7 could also be a raise here. And then I think he's going to be raising 10s and jacks. 7 6s 5s are probably calls. Would he be raising 8s? I think 8s are probably just going to be a call. So we've got that adjustment here. That's his raising range. So let's run our solver, see how this changes so that we can get to our actual hand. So yeah, there are some players that will make that raise with top pair. And without seeing the results, I'm going to guess that if he can make that with top pair, then our play might not be to raise on the flop, but just to call and let him continue betting, because on a favorable turn, GTO would probably say, hey, you need to continue betting. You have top pair, you've got a good kicker hand. It's going to be my suspicion. So we'll pause this and come back when it's done. All right, finalizing, it's done. So now with all of those ranges, yeah, we're supposed to be betting, which I did bet. And again, just reminder, this is heads up play. We're 3-way, so we bet. Now he raises that, and okay, so we are supposed to be the aggressor. If he's gonna raise with top pair, let's go ahead and raise it. If we raise it, then villain could shove all in, or call, or fold. And according to GTO, it has him basically raising with 2 pair, a mix of these top pair or over pair hands. Top pair 10-9 raises, but all of the others should. I bet he makes mistakes with those if I raise. So I think it looks like we're seeing our mistake. We really I think leaning towards this raise with the queen, raise with the over pairs. Some of our top pairs are going to be folds, 10-9. Even middle pair. I bet middle pair we're raising because we expect some of the 9s to fold. I don't know if that's true or not. So I don't think we're ever going to get to the scenario where we have those. So let's actually adjust our hand and kind of get us there. So I bet he raised, and I just kind of, again, my thought was I'm going to be able to call with those and look to get it in on the turn, because I think once he raises, I'd expect him to bet again on the turn. Whereas if I raise here, I expect him to fold a lot of hands. And I'd make a mistake. I'm sure I probably would have just called the 8s and 9s when I should be betting. This is a mistake. So I think we're just gonna run the solver just so we can get there. We'll come back when it's done. All right, so I've got my raise. So he raises here. I just call, and then once I call, I should be betting. I should be betting into him with that queen based on my hand. So I didn't. I guess that's also another way to play it, but it's probably not. It's probably not looking good in terms of EV scenario. I think EV is going to be better just to raise. So let's take those off. We know what he's raising with here. So we'll go ahead and run the solver again, kind of get back to this one. All right, so we're back to our spot. So he raises. Yeah, we should be raising all of that. So if I do raise and he calls, this is where I wanted to check. I raise and he just calls, then it looks like we are betting basically all in here. It's mixed in terms of just shoving or betting a little less, but I think we're shoving that. So this is what I wanted to check. So, all right, I think we talked through this hand. Made the mistake. I became a bluff catcher instead of the aggressor here. I probably could have made more money here. If I raised, does a queen call? Possibly. I think queen calls, and then probably or queen 9 calls. Then I think queen 9 probably calls on the turn when I shove. It just kind of looks like maybe I have the spade, and he's gonna kind of bluff catch himself with that top pair queen kicker. So mess this hand up. Good thing I'm glad I reviewed it. All right, talk to you later.